Martin Keown's alongside Simon this morning. Martin, not that I was eavesdropping when you were having a conversation with producer Luke before we came in, but you said there's a lack of appetite in this Liverpool team.
Well, it seemed like that. You know, obviously they had a very good win in midweek in the Champions League, and there's been a few false dawns. You think that they're getting back to where they were. They've put Robertson back to left back because Kirkes doesn't seem to be quite at the level. They changed the midfield. Wirtz has gone out to left wing, but it still wasn't. They didn't have the hunger to go with it. They didn't press City. I mean, by the way, Man City played extremely well, Jim, under pressure when they were under pressure.
Yeah.
I thought Szoboszlai apart, I thought he was quite exceptional in the game. Everybody else just very tepid in their performance. They're not really at boiling point. I don't know whether or not the managers lost them a little bit. He's very pragmatic afterwards. This is a bit of a crisis for him now.
Yep.
You know, there's 7 defeats this season. Performances have fallen well short of where they were last season. It was quite magnificent last season. He's got to get that back, but it doesn't look as if he's got the players completely on board. They were better in the second half, but the game was won by then.
See, you used the word crisis, Martin. When the word crisis is used, for ourselves in the media, there's always and Simon, you're on me whenever we mention the word crisis. Hang on a minute. I'm over the top. But maybe not. Roy Keane, we know they can be beaten at Manchester City, but to lose 7-10 and 5 league losses already this season, it has to be a crisis for a club like Liverpool. Simon, 5 losses in 11. Does Slot look like a man to you who knows how to fix it?
Well, this is a side that just beat Real Madrid. So you have to get some context. It's the first challenges for him. And we've seen this smooth transition, this easy passage of time from Jurgen Klopp straight into Arne Slot. Arne Slot getting hero status for winning the Premier League. And now he's having to reignite a team that's had component parts taken out of it through a series of choices and tragedies that have created this scenario. And so we will see what he's made of. Do I think they'll be fine? Yeah. Do I think they'll win the league? Probably not now. But do I think they'll be in Europe next year? Do I think they'll be a top 4 side? Yes, I do. I think ultimately Man City have now slipped back into gear. Man City are still a get-atable side, but they are, in that particular game yesterday, levels above Liverpool at this moment in time in the season. It was interesting to listen to Pep Guardiola, I know I'm going off tangent, talking about what the challenge looks like and how the season looks like unfolding, and how he made a really pointed observation about it's not about doing well now. It's about doing well when it really counts towards the back end of the season and building a team, and you start being in a zone, towards the back end of the season and being consistent. And I think that might have been a little bit of a broadside at Arsenal and people's observation that Arsenal are going to win the league. Look, Liverpool have got to get themselves together a little bit. You know, the fact is that there's arguments. I saw in the notes that Wenger's talking about how one particular player was signed in a particular position in terms of Wirtz, and he shouldn't have been allowed to be signed in that position because it's disrupted the Liverpool midfield. There might be something in that, but that's for Slot to manage. And people telling people constantly he doesn't know what his best team is. Well, that's what you're paid the big bucks for. That's why you went and spent 500 million quid, because surely you bought players that you could plug and play with.
But I think that's where the crux of the matter lies, is the foundation of their midfield. So last year it was very stable, and he came up with statistics at the beginning of the season saying, look, I've made this change. I wanted to play with a 10 because we weren't creating quite enough the back end of last season. I actually felt there wasn't an awful lot wrong with what they were doing. He's kind of obsessed with finding solutions. I understand that. The club can't stand still. But they're nowhere near really where they were last year. And you look at the players. I mean, look, it's interesting because both teams, you could say, are evolving. This is pretty well Pep's 3rd generation of players now. So there were 4 changes.
But on Liverpool, the money spent though, Martin, the money spent, 400 million plus. Come November, we can't really talk about the title race, says Slot. Honestly?
Well, what he means by that is he's got to talk about winning tackles, winning headers, winning the next game. That he's not really thinking.
How's it got to that?
Because they've lost so many games, so they're not quite in the title race right now. He's got to get everybody back.
You won the league title. You won the Premier League title. How does the hunger go?
No, Jim. When you're winning games, it's very brittle. Winning games, you don't know you're going to win games, but there's a mood in the building, and they've lost that. They've lost that. They're not at boiling point right now, and I think he's created that in looking for something better. I mean, obviously they've lost.
History's repeating itself to some extent. The last time they won the title, they defended it quite poorly, in the season after they won it, and they're doing it again this year. You would have felt. I mean, everyone makes the point that nobody changes a championship-winning side to the extent that he changed it. Some of it was forced upon him, and some of it was circumstance, which is natural transition in a football club that people leave and people stay. He has gotten himself into a position where he's heralded, quite rightly so, for winning the Premier League. But there's two teams now that are really alive. There's one that thinks it should have won a Premier League over the last couple of years, which is Arsenal, and have been teased and mercilessly mocked by people like me about the fact they choked on previous times and the fact they should be there now. They're there now. They're there to win this tournament. They were there to win this Premier League. And Man City have regained their poise. And so they should, because they've got such a wonderful base, such a wonderful manager. Man City should be in the conversation all the time. And Liverpool have got real challenges around them now. Whereas last year, with all due respect to Slot, and I don't care what Liverpool fans think, they sauntered to that league.
Yeah.
Not because it's their fault.
But I don't think a lot of these changes needed to be made. I believe that this central defensive partnership, Konate and Van Dijk, needs better protection. And on doing that protection, he's created this issue for himself. Now, Wirtz is playing out on the left wing. It doesn't really... Gakpo should be playing on the left wing. And then they've got a better front three as far as I'm concerned. Ekatike's new. Bradley's new. The goalkeeper's new. It's only 4 players, but it's made a massive change to the way they play.
Martin, is this a title race shifting now down to 2? Manchester City and Arsenal.
No, you've got to look at Chelsea starting to pick up a little bit. Jim, Chelsea looking like they're starting to become a little bit formidable. Man City going through the gears, Jim. So look, Arsenal just need to keep winning their games. They've not done an awful lot wrong, Jim. They're pretty well top of the top of the Premier League, top of the Champions League table as well, pretty on points. So it's going along nicely.
Are you fearful from Arsenal's point of view
not at all.
that you've got a chaser who is in the form of Manchester City?
Arsenal have played 6 away games, Jim. You know, in that period, you look at the games. Man City have only played 5. Up for them next is Newcastle. Okay, Arsenal at home against Spurs. This has been Man United away. Now a very difficult game. Liverpool, Newcastle. These are all the games that Arsenal have played.
But
Sunderland as well. Let's not.
From an Arsenal viewpoint, twice you've led it, and twice you were reeled in by Manchester City.
This is different this year.
How's it different?
They didn't come back at Newcastle last year. They did. They got a very important goal against Man City as well.
But is it not in your head? Anybody but City chasing us?
Not at all. Because
anybody but City?
No, I don't think you look over your shoulder. You look ahead and you go and grasp it and you take the opportunities that are there. What you need is a full selection of players to pick from, and they've not quite got that at the moment. It was an issue for Gyökeres not being available. I hope this doesn't become a story of the number 9, because obviously Haaland is different class. Arsenal need theirs back on the pitch quickly.
So when you're going for the title, you don't look over your shoulder?
No, you can't. In any race, you don't look over your shoulder, Jim. You look ahead.
You never did that way back in '99.
We got caught. Back in '99. We were chasing, and '98 we were chasing. I think 2001, 2002, 3 when we lost it. Yeah, they came up.
Is it not the case from an Arsenal viewpoint? Anyone but City to be making a charge
not at all, because we don't really know if this is the real deal with this City team, do we? I mean, what we've had is a changing of the guard, Man City. You know, De Bruyne's been allowed to go, Ederson's been allowed to go to Walker, and the Foden's been given his head now, and they're starting to flourish. But Doku's only scored 1 goal in the Premier League this season. He's going to have to score a whole lot more if they're going to be champions.
We're approaching 10:30. Let's get a whole bunch of fans on. Why not? Give us a call this morning. In a game billed as a battle of the contenders, did we see something of a wave of the white flag from the defending champions Liverpool yesterday? Liverpool fans, any of you out there prepared to tell us this morning, nah, it's over. We're only in November, but it's over. 03717 223344. Is this a title race shifting down to 2? And those 2 are Manchester City and Arsenal. What do you think, Simon? I mean, as Danny rightly says, Arsenal are second in the Champions League at the moment, 4 wins from 4. No goals conceded. Next up, Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich will be worried about Arsenal as much as Arsenal will be concerned about facing them.
Yeah.
And so they should be.
So they should be. I mean, Arsenal are a formidable side. They've built a brilliant squad. They've brought some players in that have really enabled other players to really blossom. You know, Zubimendi frees up Declan Rice. When Zubimendi doesn't play, the boy that they brought in from Brentford fills that role. So they've got a very decent squad. They brought Eze in to give them more creativity. They're a very good side, and they should be in a position now to achieve what Arteta's been threatening to achieve in the last 2 or 3 seasons, which is to win the league. I expect them to win the league. I didn't expect them to win the league at the beginning of the season. I expected Liverpool to win it. But new information provides new thinking.
But still to come back, Simon, Martinelli, Gyökeres, Havertz, Odegaard, Madueke, Zubimendi, Gabriel Jesus, still to return.
Absolutely. I mean, they have a great squad. You've got young kids out there like Max Dowman being blooded that are playing in the Champions League themselves. They've got a raft of talent. They've got a youth development system that's bringing young players through that shows itself. in all its finest form, which is how football should be, which is young players coming through, top players being bought, a squad being assembled, and a team coming out of it. And Arteta has built an environment at Arsenal that has revived the club in lots of ways, because there was a criticism about the lack of energy around the place. There was a criticism, the only thing they seemed to be happy about was complaining. They hounded out Wenger. Emery wasn't given much of a chance, and Arteta has had some ups and downs, but certainly the energy around Arsenal, when you go and watch them as a team, not just as a team playing, Newcastle got in amongst them, and Newcastle scored a goal against them, and Arsenal had to dig deep and get themselves back into that game, and did it in the last 5 or 6 minutes.
Liverpool beat.
And Liverpool beat them, so they're not beyond beatable, and they're not beyond scoring goals against, but they are a very, very formidable side, and they're in the box seat to do something quite significant this season, and I expect them to win the league now.
The other thing they've got, which is talked about, some people don't think it's as important as others I listen to, but that hunger you have after failure, because they have been called failures, some of those lads who've been there the last couple of seasons, a couple of second places.
Oh yeah, choking and all that. Yeah.
There seems like a will and a determination to prove people wrong in the group.
Yeah.
Maybe that comes from the manager. Maybe
it's fascinating to see how this wonderful Arsenal backline stands up against Haaland right now. I mean, obviously City.
They played him, he scored.
Yeah. Yeah,
they drew, didn't they? They got the late when Eza opened them up late on.
In the longer term down the season.
Yeah. It'll be fascinating to see how they stand up to Kane.
Yeah, well, I don't think Kane in isolation is their problem. It's Munich's flair and power everywhere else.
Yeah. Dan, just in the passing of clean sheets, do we pay enough attention to clean sheets? We pay a lot of attention to goals scored. Or they're banging them in right, left and centre.
No, but
clean sheets, massive part of the game. Is appreciated enough?
The only success I've had in my career was based on foundation for defensively solid. Like our Liverpool Houllier side, for example, was not particularly great to watch. We played a lot of teams better than us and give them respect and played pragmatically. We were really hard nut to crack. And even our success at Fulham was based on exactly the same thing. I think now, because we've got to the point now, haven't we, where teams are doing okay in West Ham's a great example, Moisey. They're finishing in top 8, top 7, getting into Europe, but the football's not good enough.
Yeah.
We've heard it before. How many clubs? I remember my days at Charlton when they were a Premier League side, and I think the year before I got there, they were top 10. We finished about 8th or 9th in my first season, and then the fans, there was discontent that Kerb's style wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
I think everyone wants good results and good football.
Sure.
David is a Manchester United fan. Hello, David.
Not actually wrong.
Morning, gentlemen.
How are you? What do you want to say about Manchester United?
Good.
Are you realigning your expectations?
Not really, gentlemen, to be honest. I mean, I've been on the show a number of times. I've spoken to James, Simon, and Danny, Andy. I have been a fan of Amorim since day one, and I've backed him consistently. Now, I think people, obviously the media, you guys, I understand you have a job to do, and you have to make up, stories, and you have to be talking points, and get people involved, and I get that. But the reality is, and I said this before, I said Amorim, when he came in, he's had one of the biggest turnaround jobs to do in English football that we've had in a long, long time. The club has been in a massive disarray. It's not just about spending money and putting 11 players in the field. We are restructuring the whole club. That means mentality, morals, vision, integrity, application to the shirt. Everything else that comes along with it. So for me, I've always said that what happens on the pitch is going to be the final product once all the work in the background starts making sense. And it's funny how football can turn so quickly. Now we see Slot is under massive pressure now. And I'm not here, obviously, as a United fan, and I have great pleasure in watching Liverpool struggling at the moment. Of course I do. But the reality is, and I'm not here to try and back Liverpool up, but let's understand that they spent 400 million, right? And people are talking about them spending a lot of money. But Man United have spent a lot of money over the last 10 years. That does not guarantee that you're going to get success. And it's showing it now. I mean, I've got obviously a lot of Liverpool friends, and we made, I told them at the beginning of the season, you guys, we've got Isak, we've got Wirtz, we've got this, we're going to win the league this year, we're going to run away because we're so...
David, we're straying into Liverpool territory. We're trying to focus on Manchester United and what we think they should achieve this season. But I think what your point was, hold on, we'll come back to you just a second, but I think what his point was initially was that getting the stuff sorted out off the pitch was really important for Manchester United in terms of it's been 20 years under the Glazers. You've got to get the structure behind the scenes right in order to get what's right on the pitch correct.
Yeah, I mean, they've been crying out for a sporting director for a number of years. I still think the jury's out on Jason Wilcox at this moment in time, but it was a good transfer window. You look at the impact that Cunha and Mbeumo, two tried and tested Premier League players, have made. The goalkeeper has made a good impact as well. So you have to say, and Steve Bruce mentioned this when we were on air earlier this week, for the first time in a long time, the recruitment has been decent. And what they've also emboldened Ruben Amorim to do, and I think this is really important, is to cleanse that dressing room. And I looked down at the pitch at Anfield after that win against Liverpool, and you saw the likes of Joshua Zirkzee, who wants out of the club, seemingly to get more playing time, but he was very much part of that victory. He was celebrating with his teammates, and it looks like a real united camp for a change, to excuse the pun.
What Jason Wilcox said, even though I agree with Crookie, he shouldn't necessarily be coming out of the back of 3 straight wins, because in 3 games it could be the opposite. But what he said was absolutely right. It's not just about the talent, it's about the character. You know, I go back to, I played at Old Trafford against the likes of Beckham, Keane, Giggs, Scholes, etc., etc. You know, every single one of them were captains, leaders, and were able to handle what it's like to wear the shirt of Manchester United. There's too many players who I feel were either very good talent-wise, but couldn't handle the character, or perhaps just not good enough. So it's about getting that combination right. Once they get it right, and again, it does turn very, very quickly. Suddenly, everything's very positive. And I think it's a really good call, actually, because he's absolutely spot on. Off the field needed to be sorted, and then on the field will come on naturally. My worry was about Ruben Amorim is that, and I've looked back into his, you know, in Portugal where he's been in the manager, and he wasn't at many clubs in Portugal, but he played the same system every time. So it's almost like, this is the hill I'm going to die on. Is it going to work or is it not?
This is the blueprint.
Absolutely.
This is how I work.
Hmm.
Now, you look at Matheus Cunha, you look at Brian Mbeumo, Premier League ready already. Very good players. My argument would be, did they need that? The goalkeeper for me was the most important. And to be fair,
He's made a massive difference, by the way.
He's made a massive difference. It's not long enough at the moment to judge him, but he's come in and he's made a great first impression.
And sometimes, actually, Scott, it helps if you're lucky. And he was a little bit lucky at times in that Liverpool game. There was a couple of efforts that hit the post. There was one that flicked just off him and onto the post and then hit the crossbar. And those moments actually were really crucial for him, because he's been able to keep a couple of clean sheets or make a couple of big saves in games as well. That's given him confidence, and the defence in front of him confidence. You talked about the number of matches that they've won. Actually, Leon says, what about the fact that we've won 3 games on the trot? That's great, but I think we need to calm down. What we need to do is keep this up. If Manchester United win the next 3 games,
Absolutely.
then it may be a sign that things are starting to turn around. But we've seen over the last few years that just when we think that things are improving, we take a few steps back. It's a long season. Let's see where we are around Easter.
Does it feel to you like this is finally the year it's all going to click?
Before we go there, I was listening to you about Ruud van Nistelrooy, and if he was worth 100 million, how much is Thierry worth?
Well,
Thierry's 300 million.
Hold on. Benty said 100 million, not me.
What do you reckon?
What, Ruud? In today's climate, 150.
And Thierry?
149.
Yeah, this is an idiot. He's an idiot, isn't he, Jack? Thierry's about 250.
Well,
Right,
you hold on.
back
Okay,
to-
hold
back
on,
to-
Jack. Hold on.
Okay.
If you're both saying that, right, that Shearer's 250.
Shearer?
What did you just say?
Thierry.
Thierry.
Oh,
Henry.
Thierry 250. Okay. What's Haaland worth? I mean, he's 25 at the moment. What's he worth? If
Thierry is better than Haaland.
No, I know, but what are you saying right now in this climate? A 25-year-old Erling Haaland's worth.
240.
180.
Okay.
What do you think?
I don't know now. Because it's not what people are worth. It's
Gyökeres 200.
what quid?
Hold on. Hey, ask Sesko over there.
He's all right.
Right, Jack, we've had a bet. Me and Goldstein over here. Who scored more goals, Gyökeres or Sesko?
Oh no, you're throwing money away, goals. I know you got loads of it, but you shouldn't do that.
See?
I haven't got loads of it yet. I need to sell my hair product. Right, listen, let's carry on talking about your old side Arsenal, right? Is it finally the year it's all going to click or not? How are you feeling about them?
It feels like that, but it felt like that a little bit last year for me as well. And Liverpool sort of came, didn't they, and surprised everyone a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's the best I've seen the squad probably ever. Still have to keep everyone fit, because it's okay saying, yeah, you've got a squad, but you have to keep them fit, because if not, you go back to what we had last year. So I think we still have to manage that, but we've got quality all over the pitch. But it feels like it Andy. It does feel like it. I think we're, all the talk of, is it a defensive approach? I don't think we should be worrying about that at this point. Like, I think in some games you're going to have to just be hard to play against. Of course, at times you want to see a little bit more, but we're not losing. Being hard to play against is a big strength of champions. They need it. You see it over the years. I remember going to Old Trafford time and time again and playing well and dominating the game, but losing the game. So that doesn't worry me. And yeah, let's just go from strength to strength.
Jack, who's going to be key for Arsenal, do you think? Because for so long, it's felt like if Saka's not fit, then what are Arsenal going to do? If Odegaard's not fit, Saliba. Who do you think, though, now is the key player for Arsenal to get him over the line?
I think all the guys you're talking about, but the one that I really love, I don't know what you think, is Timber.
Yeah.
Timber, man. Like, I think maybe apart from number 9 and in goal, I think he gives you something in every single position. He's aggressive. He wins his duels. He looks like a leader. All the other ones you're talking about as well, of course. I think Ethan's stepped up his game another level this year. Miles as well. He looks more ready. So, as well as all these new players, these players are developing more as well, which is obviously going to help them as well. Long and sweet. Let me just shut my door.
I mean, you could have just left it where it was, Jack.
Is it slam?
Yeah.
Right.
Jack, let me ask you, because I think Arsenal have got one of the best squads, if not the best squad, for depth as well in the Premier League. And we're starting to see some of these young kids get into the first team. A lot of these kids, of course, you're responsible for their incredible rise to form. We've seen Wanyeri, Lewis Skelly, Max Dowman being another one. How highly do you rate those three? And out of the three, who do you think could go the furthest?
Yeah, first of all, I'm not responsible for them.
Oh, okay.
I'm not. I had
But
a
you would
role
have seen
to
them,
play
right?
in that.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course. They played with me, and I had them for a little bit of time. But I had Ethan for 18 months, Miles for 18 months, and the work that went on before me, I was there in the academy, was outstanding. And Max is completely different. He was one where I played him in the under-18s as a 13-year-old, and you could see from them. And like when people say, what did you do? Or well, sometimes, when you have players with that talent, it's just about setting the right environment, giving them the right challenge at the right time. Is it 21s? Do they need to train with the first team? And I think as an academy, we've done that really well. And you can see now they're all exciting to me, and I love them all. I love Miles because how team orientated he is and how like a leader he is. Ethan's got magic, and I think people are starting to see that a little bit more now. I think he probably took a bit of time to understand what Mikel wanted out of possession, exactly what he wanted in possession, but he's got some ability. And then Max, in my opinion, can be what he wants.
Liverpool just got absolutely swept aside by Manchester City, didn't they?
They did today. I mean, that was as good a Manchester City performance as we've seen for a long time. They were good in the week. They was even better today. Liverpool looked a little bit leggy. They had a lot of recovery time for Real Madrid, but mentally there must have been something got missed out there. They didn't seem to be on it. When you're preparing for a game like Manchester City away, and the way they come out of the blocks, you got to be full on, not just physically but mentally as well. And I thought they looked a little bit slow in their minds as well as their legs today.
Let's go straight over to the phones on 03717 223344. And you know who it is, didn't you? It's Manchester City have won.
Well, there's only one person it can be.
Good evening, Jax.
Mark, hello. Hi, Paz. How are you?
Yeah, you must be happy, Jackie.
Oh, my God. That was amazing. What a masterclass from the Blues. The atmosphere was superb. That is the worst Liverpool team I've seen for a long time. They were so poor.
Yeah,
they really was
they
poor.
weren't good. Tell me, Jax.
Can I just say something? Doku, honest to God, he was absolutely superb.
I was about to ask you about him.
He'll think he's in a washing machine tonight, spinning around upside down and going round and round and round. Doku, oh, God, I can't say how good he was. He was superb, absolutely superb.
Do you know what? You've got a player there, and I always reference him when I talk about other players that can't get down the line and can't get past people past. He is one that's just fearless.
Oh, yeah. He just run the show.
Yeah.
Oh, Conor Bradley, I feel a bit. If Sabozlai had been there, I don't think it'd been as bad, but he's just running ragged. And the whole team, I was a bit mad when Haaland missed that penalty. I thought, oh, here we go, it could be a bad day. But do you know what? The play's superb. Every single player on that pitch. Nico O'Reilly, Guardiol, Diaz and Nunes, that back four should stay like that. And Donnarumma, what a signing. He was a signing of the season to me. He's superb. I'm just so happy, and we're coming, Arsenal. We are coming. We're going down.
You never listen. No one wins the league unless they got a world-class goalie, and you got a world-class goalie again.
Exactly.
Again,
exactly.
I might add. But let me just go back to Duku, because it was interesting. Because Sam, who was on earlier, asked me, as a manager, how do you deal with something like that? Well, you can't deal with anything like you can't. There's nothing you can do as a manager when you've got a player in that kind of form. You can double up on him. You can even treble up on him. But when he's just skipping round people like he was in tremendous form.
Exactly that. When you think, his first season and last season, I wasn't overconfident about him, but he's just got better and better. Anthony Anton, as a season mate in the car, Anton. As a season
Anton.
Say hello to the Majestic. You talk.
How are you, lads?
How are you, Anton? You enjoy that one, mate?
Yeah, I did, mate. Absolutely brilliant. We owed them that, didn't we, after the losing to them twice last season?
Very fitting on Pep's 1,000th game as a manager.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's just unreal, isn't he? The guy is just unbelievable.
I think it's worked really well in your favour, Anton, that, people have been talking about Arsenal so much this season and Liverpool. And the Manchester City, the Man City train is just it's steamrolling into town. As Parge just said, Donnarumma in goal, Haaland up front, the likes of Doku, etc. It's like the Manchester
Rodri to come back.
Rodri to come back. Wow.
It's not only that though. It's not only that though, boys. I mean, look at players like Nico Gonzalez. Came in January, had a bit of a slow start, but to be honest with you guys, no Blues have mentioned Rodri for the last 4 or 5 games because he stepped in. I'm not saying he's in the same bracket as Rodri by no means, but he stepped in. It's been seamless.
Yeah,
and
it really has.
The kid's been unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
So when are you replacing Arsenal at the top of the table is the question.
Christmas.
Christmas time. Here comes sticking fast. Thank you very
Majestic. We always go on that mad crazy run, don't we, Ant? Once we get to February, March, April, May.
True.
We can stay there for a few weeks, and then when it comes after Christmas at the end of January, we're going to go on one of them mad crazy runs. I hope. I'm not saying definite, but I hope. And anyway, one little message before I go. 100% Mo, have that.
There you
Thank
go.
you very much.
100% Mo. You've heard it from Jack. Thank you very much, Jack and Anton.
Just a quick one on Arsenal, particularly the defensive record at the moment, Joe. Sensational, mate. Only lost 3 goals. How Big John Terry and the boy, he'll be looking. I know for a fact, and you know him better than I. Yeah. He'll be looking every week, and he'll just want to see Arsenal losing goals.
Yeah. He'll definitely be whoever Arsenal are playing. JT will have a shirt on. I look over enviously at Arsenal, Ali, and the way that club's run.
Yeah.
And the way that the job that Mikel Arteta's done. And like you said, we had a conversation after the Liverpool game. Remember, Al? We was really impressed with Arsenal, even though they lost the game.
That's right.
And how they was and everything from that game on, they just look impenetrable. And I think it's starting to play in the mindset of the opposition teams now, and I think that's what we had at Chelsea. People just didn't think they could score against us. And I think Arsenal have now got that. And I'm a little bit concerned, to be honest. But I think Arsenal win the league and maybe the Champions League as well. I really think they're brilliant. And that's really hard for me to say. Really tough.
They're 8 points and not 18.
Doesn't matter. You're going to lose more than one more game.
And so all the teams around us.
Only one team in the last decade has lost 6 Premier League games and still won the title. That was during the COVID-impacted season. It was Liverpool. We know what happened after you'd won it as well. Difficult times for everyone at that time. But obviously, once you'd sealed the title, you had a few poor results. But ultimately, you can't lose 6 games and win the title. You've already lost 5. So you got to be virtually perfect from here on out. Looking at the way you're playing at the moment, that's not going to happen. So it's over. Sorry to break the news. It is over. You're 8th in the Premier League. You've lost 7 of your last 8 games in all competitions. You got bigger problems, mate, than worrying about the title. The title. You've got to focus on getting in the Champions League next year.
I'm not focusing on the title. I'm just saying 8 points is not,
Are you good enough to win the league?
A massive thing.
You're good enough to win. You're not good enough.
8 points away. You're not good enough. Not going to win the league.
You're not good enough to win the league.
But
that's the reality.
If you go on performances, no.
No, exactly.
But 8 points is nothing. we've seen how quick we was 10 points clear of Arsenal at one stage. Now they're 8. So 8 points is nothing. We still got to go to Emirates. Arsenal have still got to go to Etihad. Teams will take points off all these teams now.
And I'll tell you who teams are going to take points off. Liverpool. Because you're rubbish at the moment. You're not good enough at the moment. You're certainly not good enough to get anywhere near the Premier League title. So let's just focus on what is going wrong with Liverpool and how to fix it. If you are going to overturn an 8-point deficit on Arsenal, how are you going to do it?
Look, in all fairness, last season when Klopp went and we got an unknown manager in Arne Slot, last season, this was the kind of start I was expecting, is, just to battle our way into the top 4. And then winning the league was an absolute bonus. But now we're kind of seeing that. And I think where Liverpool are hurting right now is the loss of some key players. And it just goes to show how good they were for us. Trent going, we've lost the relationship and the cohesion with him and Salah. So we've seen Salah kind of falter on that. The work rate that we used to get from Luis Diaz, his input, we've hugely missed that. Darwin Núñez, yes, we was all umming about him. Is he good enough? But the chaos and the charging and the pressing that he bring, lifting players was huge. The loss of Diego Jota, which has hurt every single member in that club, in that team, in that city. So there's a lot of things to look at as to say why. And then we've got a lot of new players coming in who were still trying to find their way at a team like Liverpool, at a team in the Premier League, how fast and how physical it is and the difference it is playing in other leagues. And they still haven't gelled yet. And on the back of that, our key players are not performing at the minute. And another one is a huge miss is Alisson. He is just as big as a player Salah. He is the guy that, without Salah and Lassie, if we miss on the longer periods, he's one-on-ones. He's, his passing, his ability on the ball, his kicking, everything about him is fantastic. And we'll talk about Virgil, but having a keeper like Alisson as well gives your defence so much ability and confidence. Him rushing off his line. We haven't got that right now. So those balls, those counter-attacks, he's out there to stop them. He's like a third defender at times.
You're telling me all the reasons why Liverpool aren't playing well.
Yeah.
But I asked you how they're going to solve it.
Well, it's a matter of time. Like, they've got a lot of players who've got world-class players, a lot of ability in that team. So once, people come to fitness, once people get in the groove, it will click. It's just that they're waiting for that moment just to click. It's too good of a team to falter. It's not a crisis. No, Sheffield Wednesday's a crisis.
Yeah, I understand. There's different levels of crises. 8 points,
off, win a game, we're in the top 4. It's not a crisis. It's just at the moment, it's just times are difficult to get a good run and to keep the clean sheets. Once things start clicking, once players start getting the confidence, once the morale gets lifted, Liverpool, I'm not worried.
Back page of this morning's Sun, kick Van Dijk. Wayne Rooney's put the boot into Liverpool. He's not put... It says here, Wayne's put the boot into Liverpool captain Virgil. Once again, tell him to forget about outside noise and concentrate on his own performances. That in the wake of the Reds' 3-0 loss at Manchester City. Wayne questioned Van Dijk's commitment since signing a new contract in April. Before the pair had an awkward face-to-face after Liverpool's 1-0 Real Madrid last week. So I think I've already said, and I think Ali would agree that Wayne's entitled to his opinion. Well, and he's not wrong either, in my opinion.
No, but I tell you what, I think that's wrong. I don't think he's questioned his commitment. Right? He might have questioned the way he's been playing. Yes. There's a big difference, There's a big difference. Once you start questioning people's commitment, Alan,
And I didn't like the way I read contract there, that word contract, since he signed his contract.
Yeah. I think Wayne is absolutely well within his rights to question not just Virgil's, Liverpool as a team as well. Some individual performances. I think you're well within your right to question Mo Salah. To be brutally honest with you,
Too right.
The new signings haven't hit the ground running. But that's completely different to questioning somebody's commitment. I don't think that's
Wayne's latest dig reads as follows, Ali. My job now is to give my opinions. I try and be straight and honest in what I feel and what I see. Maybe I went a bit strong, he says. Maybe I went a bit too strong when I said he's down tools. But getting involved too much in the outside noise, that's our job. Focus on your game.
Well, by the way, I'm going to take that back, because right now, if he said he's down tools, that is question. You can't get more question somebody's commitments than saying they're down tools. So I think that's harsh. I think it's wrong. In fact, I don't think he's down tools. Has he had a lapsing for him? Yes, there's a few of them with a lapsing for him, but down in tools is a completely different argument.
I don't like picking I just don't like picking single players. But you mentioned the two new guys. You're right, Ali. Kanate for me is a walking disaster at times. I'm sorry, he really is.
Well, he struggled. He's absolutely struggling. And you look at the fullbacks they've brought in, haven't hit the ground running. Wirtz is struggling to get going. You know, they've spent a fortune in Isak and haven't really seen him, to be honest. Ekitike, I think, has been the one that's kind of stood out. Yeah, out of new signings. So, listen, the one thing you would say, they've got far too many not even good players, far too many great players to hang about and continue to be on that run. It will change.
Yeah, but here we are, November. Liverpool 8th in the table, 18 points. Arsenal 26. That tells a story, doesn't it?
Oh, mate, listen. I mean, I think Jeff was on the other day, and I get it. And there's one or two people, and that, as Wayne Rooney said, it's our job to give opinions. And there's a lot of people now saying that is them kind of effectively out the title race. I'm not having that at all, because I just think there's too much football to get played, Alan. You know what I mean? There's far, far too much football to get played to start saying, people are in and out the title race. Yes, I mean, by my maths, and it has been wrong before, there's 27 league games. Well, not even a third of the way through the season. To start writing teams that have got the quality of players like Liverpool out of competitions, when they are, yes, they're 8 points behind, but I still say it. We saw Sunderland at the weekend, Bournemouth, Brighton, teams like that, Spurs and United. We saw United taking points off Liverpool as well. I just think this year, probably as much as any year, the top teams are the teams that we'd normally fancy to win the title will drop points.
Definite.
Hazard a guess, the cynic in me tells me, if they were top of the table, he'd be looking after 11 games.
I take the point. I mean, I think it's an obvious thing to say, but you get a better idea at the turn of the year. Definitely a better idea at the turn of the year, a Christmas period.
But you do get an idea now, surely.
Yeah, but there's clearly a lot more possibilities for it to change. You know what I mean? Still, I think... right away, you would think there has to be an improvement in Liverpool. There has to be an improvement in Newcastle. I would think straight away there are teams that cannot continue in the form that they're in at this moment in time. So I just think, I know, of course, absolutely, I take your point, but I just think after the new year, you got a far better idea.
Yeah, look, I mean, I predict Liverpool win the title again this season. I think it's gone already from them. Let's have a chat with our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, who was at the Etihad for us yesterday. He joins us now. Morning, Crook.
Morning, Crookie.
Good morning, boys.
They do look miles off it, though, mate.
They do. I've got to say, I was shocked by their performance, particularly in that first half. As Arne Slot himself said there, they had a good week in the build-up to the game. Clean sheet in 3 points at home to Villa. Really good performance against Real Madrid. And you expected them to kick on Liverpool, but they were second best, almost right from the first minute. I thought Jeremy Doku was outstanding, really set the tone for Manchester City. Erling Haaland misses that penalty, but you can't keep a great striker down, and he responded with a terrific header. And to be fair to Arne Slot, he didn't make any excuses. I agree with him. I think Virgil van Dijk's goal probably should have stood, but I don't think it would have changed the outcome.
No.
Because I think City still had a couple more goals in them. And I'm with Jeff. I've been looking back through the recent record books. I think only twice in the last 15 years have a team lost more than 5 games in the Premier League season and gone on to win the title. That was Manchester City on both occasions. Blackburn hold the record back in 1995, 7 Premier League defeats. So they've got no margin for error, Liverpool. And on what we've seen over the opening few weeks of the season, Do we really believe they can go 27 games unbeaten? I don't. I think the title has already gone.
Do you think, Crookie, there's an element here of this is a hangover from last season and people are finding it hard to go again? You know, Salah and Kanate, Robertson, all miles off their best.
Do you know what, Jeff? I got a bit of stick for this, but I remember I was at the Cheltenham Festival in March and I put it out there when I was on air with Jim White and Troy Deeney that wasn't a great Liverpool team. They wouldn't be remembered as brilliant Premier League champions, that actually they were benefiting from circumstances. Manchester City had a massive drop-off. Arsenal were struggling to score goals. This is a stronger Premier League now. You look at how congested it is at the top end of the table. So I think to win the title this year, you really are going to have to be a class above. So I think there's an element of that. I think obviously they made a lot of changes over the course of the pre-season. Florian Wirtz was decent against Real Madrid in midweek. He was anonymous yesterday. Kanate is really struggling. I've written a piece for the talkSPORT website actually saying that his performance was a case for not extending his contract when it expires in the summer. And answer me this, Ali. Alexander Isak, the most expensive player in the history of British football. I know he didn't train with Newcastle during pre-season, but how can you get yourself into a situation in 2025 when players are at the peak of physical fitness that he's not fit enough to come on when his team were chasing a game away from home against Manchester City? He was left on the bench. Yeah. I was astounded by that.
I've got to say, that's absolutely bizarre, because the one thing you do, if he comes to the club, Crookie, you say, right, I'm ruling him out for whatever it is, the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, and I'm just going to work on his fitness so he's, once he does get going, he's off and running. No, I'm with you, mate. That was a strange decision. Obviously, with what you're saying there as well, I would take it that, and I'm probably thinking it myself, it must be a really bang average Real Madrid team as well then, because I thought Liverpool outclassed them in many ways during the week.
They did. But listen, it was a bang average Real Madrid team in the Champions League last season. So let's see how deep they go in the Champions League. Maybe in some ways that lulled Liverpool into a false sense of security. I think the Premier League is so strong this year, Ali. You look at the results for the English teams in Europe. I think we're going to get a lot of teams from the Premier League who are going deep into the Champions League. And really that emphasises what I was saying, that last season the Premier League probably wasn't the best we've ever seen. This year I think it's completely different.
I'm still suffering from watching Spurs yesterday, mate.
Yeah, it wasn't the best, was it?
Awful. The worst performance I've seen us under Thomas Frank.
Yeah, I read the reports and obviously see the highlights of the game. It didn't look too entertaining. One shot, wasn't it, on target? Was that right?
Mate, painful. Real painful watching.
But, we did talk on this show about, and I said to you, that front three worrying me at Spurs.
Oh, big time.
Whether it is good enough. And it looks very average compared to the Premier League, doesn't it?
Well, looking at what Bournemouth brought off the bench today.
Well, Bournemouth looked like, their group of offensive players, you would swap with Spurs all day long, wouldn't you? If
Absolutely. At the moment. The thing is, we'll talk in depth about Spurs later on because we've got a bit of a section. But like you said, looking at Haaland, who's absolutely firing 13 goals, what Bournemouth have in their ranks, and other teams around us at the moment, Spurs just do not have the right firepower. But we'll get into that later on.
We've still got 17 points though, which is a return amazingly.
This is what I'm saying.
And your home form's really poor.
Awful.
Yeah.
And like Newcastle's away form is awful.
Yeah, I know. But it's just weird how the league's panning out. For top three, I'm Arsenal, Manchester City and Liverpool. You could have predicted
after
that,
10 games.
Yes. We always say let 10 games just gives you a sort of indication.
I think our surprise package is probably Sunderland being in 7th.
Yeah, Bournemouth, obviously. And there's a couple of exceptions here and there, but, the top three now looks like that's the three in the race to me.
So the quarter way mark of the Premier League season sees Arsenal 6 points ahead of Manchester City, but Manchester City, I think, are just going about their business quietly, doing their thing, and they seem to be playing very well. Should we go over to the City fan?
Yeah, let's do that.
There's only one City fan we need to hear from on Sunday.
Okay. It's going to be Jackie.
Of course it's Jackie. How are we, Jackie?
Well, it isn't Jackie.
It's not Jackie. It's dead air. We are waiting for Jackie. Jackie will be with us in a moment's time, I'm sure. There's no way on earth Jackie's lost for words, because I've never had a situation where Jackie is lost for words, so it probably isn't the case. So it's probably.
Manchester City. When you looked at them today, the only thing I would say is even though they looked terrific, and obviously got such strength on the bench,
Massive.
it just got better and better as the game went on in terms of the subs. It's like for like, quality for quality, but a lot of half chances Bournemouth created today. Still think it's a slight concern at the back.
Yeah. Should we try Jackie again?
Is she around?
Jackie!
Hello?
Hey!
Yeah, you've got me. We must have gone through a bit near the Etihad where the signal's dropped.
Oh.
Yeah, thanks for the message, Matt. I've been waiting to come on for weeks, but obviously with Tottenham and this and United and this and Liverpool.
I've been waiting for your chance, Man City tonight. And they're second in the league. Happy?
I know, like you said, Matt, we're just going about our business very quietly. We're not saying we're going to do this and we're going to do that. But I tell you what a difference from last week at Villa. Last week, no CDMs, very, very slow pedestrian in midfield. But Turkey, oh my God, he made such a difference. That head down assist to Haaland was absolutely superb.
Yeah, you were talking about Turkey, weren't you?
Haaland, he's a beast. He's a beast.
Yeah, Serki on one side and Duku on the other, and Haaland through the middle looked exceptional today.
Yeah, Nico O'Reilly, what a player. He can't be dropped now. I mean, last week he didn't play in Swansea, and Nori came in. I didn't think he played that well. He's just got to keep that best 11 now, because I think next week we've got Liverpool, which is not going to be easy.
You got Dortmund first.
Yesterday, eh?
You got Dortmund first.
Oh yeah, we've got that in the week, haven't we? Yeah.
Just that small game on Wednesday.
Just a Champions League game.
You what, Madge?
Just a small game on a Wednesday. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, just a little small game of the Champions League on Wednesday. But if we keep doing this, I'm not going to say we're going to win the league at this stage. It's far too early. We just hope Arsenal can bottle it like they always do and go second. I'm only winding the Arsenal fans if I'm not now. It's just a bit of banter, by the way, guys. But Matt, thank you so much for letting me on. I'm happy Jackster tonight.
Listen, you've got to be celebrating after a victory. And as I say, 6 points behind Arsenal.
And we give her the honour, of course, as our first call.
As our first.
Oh, you always do, because I'm the Jackson special.
Exactly that. But listen, I, as you say, I think going about your business quietly, I think the pressure being on Arsenal, etc., is a better thing for Manchester City. And at the end of the day, as Paz just said, the strength and depth in that squad is absolutely phenomenal. Don't get me wrong, Arsenal squad's unreal as well.
All three teams, actually. Yeah. Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal. There's not much to choose from.
And that is why they're currently first, second, and third. Thank you very much, Jack. It's great to have you back on.
Much. Thank you, Paz. Have a good evening. Thank you very much.
03717 223333 is the number to call. So, Paz, is it now a three-horse title race, Arsenal, Man City and Liverpool?
Yeah, I can't really see beyond them, because there doesn't look like a side below that three that I think has got the quality to get amongst it.
Are you withdrawing Newcastle from there now? Do you remember you put them up there?
I did.
You did a couple of weeks ago.
I'm disappointed.
You're excited.
I'm disappointed. As much as I'm so pleased for West Ham and their fans today that they've finally had a good day and a good performance, particularly the first half, I'm kind of bemused by Newcastle, particularly away from home with the squad that they've got. They should be picking up better results. And sometimes, scoring after 4 minutes, I don't know if that put them into that lazy kind of, we're going to be all right today. It'll just work out. And obviously it didn't.
Absolutely. 03717 223344. You can, we'll be talking about Newcastle and West Ham next as well. So let us know what your thoughts are. A rare Hammers win this season. So West Ham fans, where are you? 03717 223344.
Or was they in the protest match? Because there was a protest after the game. Against the Bulls, yeah.
Well, after the game?
Sit down, yeah.
After the win?
Well, no, it was planned. Like one of those sort of internet kind of, let's all wait after the game situations. It looked supported, but not well supported.
Well, the number is 03717 223344. Man City fans, Bournemouth fans, West Ham fans, Newcastle fans. We want to hear from you guys right now as we reflect on Manchester City beating Bournemouth 3-1 at the Etihad, and it was 3-1 to West Ham at the London Stadium against Newcastle United, one of Pard's former teams. Newcastle United.
Let's dive into it. And we probably could have dived into it as well, because it was absolutely sheeting it down yesterday at the Etihad Stadium. Worst start to a Premier League season in over 10 years for Liverpool. 7 defeats in the last 9. It was a sorry sight. Liverpool were just passengers, really, weren't they, Kev?
Yeah, it was the most alarming display, I think, of the season. In some ways, I know people will look at Brentford and how they were out-muscled in that game, but I actually was very alarmed by that first half. Now, obviously, there was an element of the Real Madrid game had been a few days earlier. He picked exactly the same 11. But it was just, there was a little bit of trepidation in there. They got stuck in a halfway house. They didn't really press with the kind of intensity that we know they can. And City were able to play through that press at will in the first half. They were making mistakes. I think a lot of it stemmed from Doku's excellence down that left-hand side, because that spread uncertainty through the team. Because if you look at Konate, he's having to come across to help out Conor Bradley. Mo Salah wasn't dropping in to help out. And so when you've got that situation with Nico O'Reilly and Jeremy Doku dovetailing so beautifully on that left-hand side, then you're in real danger. And for City, it was a continuation of what I saw against Dortmund on Wednesday, when they were absolutely outstanding in the wide areas, because Savinho was causing all kinds of problems down the right that night, Doku down the left. And what that did was it allowed guys like Phil Foden to find these pockets of space in the middle. So, yes, Liverpool were awful, especially in that first half, really, really poor, but also City were excellent. So it was a bit of a combination of the two, but Liverpool very, very fragile.
Groupmeister, top scorers in the Premier League. All 23 of their goals have come from open play. 7 home wins in a row. Haaland about to record 100 Premier League goals faster than any other player, including Alan Shearer. Are City back?
You have to say it's starting to look that way. Obviously, last season was a really difficult one for Pep Guardiola. They started the rebuild in January. They upped it a gear in the summer. Got off to a reasonably underwhelming start by their high standards, but they're in the groove now. Erling Haaland can't stop scoring, even a missed penalty. Can't keep a great striker down, as I said on air yesterday. But the star of the show was Jeremy Doku, wasn't he? He was absolutely outstanding, Doku. Right from the first minute, he tied Andy Robertson in knots. Then he went over to the other wing and he had Conor Bradley dancing to his tune. And I think if they are going to haul in Arsenal, I still think it's a tall order with the way that Arsenal defended over the course of the season. Doku is going to be very much a key part of that. But at the other end of the pitch, and you mentioned this before the game, that Ruben Diaz will be straight back into the starting lineup. If he can stay fit, which he never really was last season, he's an absolute colossus. So I think him, Haaland, Doku, Foden have all got huge roles to play. But as poor as Liverpool were, take nothing away from Manchester City. There aren't too many sides who I think could have lived with their tempo yesterday.
Look, the way the Premier League has gone so far this season, we sort of ebbed and flowed between different challenges. Who's going to be closest up there? There was a point in the season, remember, where 3 games into it, Liverpool was 6 points better off than City. City above them now in the table. So we know things can change quickly. But I've started to get the feeling that the momentum is with Manchester City in terms of becoming the closest challengers to Arsenal. Things might have been different, though, Kev, if Liverpool had had a goal allowed when Virgil van Dijk at the far post heads the ball across John Donnarumma into the far corner. It was a bullet header, a really good header, excellent jump from him, but he was denied by the offside flag because Andrew Robertson was standing in an offside position. Chris Foy on the Men in Black podcast unpicks the decision. He says he probably, if he was the referee, would have liked to have seen a goal here. What's the feeling amongst you and your mates?
Yeah, look, I can understand why there's anger, and there is among Liverpool fans, that it wasn't given. But it's difficult, isn't it, when you've got somebody who's in an offside position so close to the goalkeeper, even if he's not directly in his eye line, you're always giving the officials that opportunity to rule out the goal. I would like to see that given. Because I don't think it influences the goalkeeper. He's not looking at Robertson. He's got a full dive in. He's not going to get to that ball. But we've made it complicated. And some of these situations result in a goal and some don't. And again, it's yet another situation where it's so complex for officials now that it's very difficult to get that same decision with the same components over and over again. So, look, it wouldn't take anything away from the fact that Liverpool deserved to lose the game, and Arne Slot was quite open about that afterwards. But I think we should always be looking to give goals rather than take them away. That's what I think we've lost with VAR, actually, in general. I think we should always be looking to reward attacking teams to give goals rather than take them away.
And actually, this dispels the argument that offside is black and white, because it isn't. You're not either offside or you're not. This was down to interpretation, and Chris Kavanagh decided that he was interfering with play. The thing I found odd, and I've still not really got an explanation for it, is why it took so long
for the assistant to put his flag up. Virgil van Dijk was already away down by the left corner flag celebrating for a few seconds before the flag even went up.
Yeah, that would be a communication thing between the referee and the assistant. They might have been discussing where they thought that Andrew Robertson actually was, and they were replaying it in their minds between them and having a conversation because they're all mic'd up. You say offside is black and white. I think that when we say offside is black and white, we're talking about where you are on the pitch. You are either in an offside position or you are not. That is black and white because it's a geographical fact. Whether or not you're interfering with play is not black and white. That has always been subjective, and that's why there is subjectivity built into the law. And this was a very subjective decision. If you want proper analysis, by the way, of all of the weekend's VAR decisions, then the Men in Black podcast is for you. Just flick up on this feed and you will find it, and Chris will go through them for you. Is one of the big differences between these two teams, Crook, the fact that Erling Haaland has scored now 19 goals this season for Manchester City, and Liverpool's top goal scorer is Hugo Ekitike with 6.
Yeah, obviously there's a problem there, and we didn't see it coming when Liverpool spent all that money on their forward line. I think Florian Wirtz, who was decent against Real Madrid in midweek, struggled again to impact a big game in the Premier League. Mo Salah was kept very quiet by Nico O'Reilly. O'Reilly justifying his decision, or his call-up rather, for the England squad. And then you look at the Alexander Isak situation, which, as I voiced on air, I don't really understand how he's got himself in a position where he is so unfit. I know he didn't train with Newcastle over the course of pre-season, but this is not like the 80s and 90s where players go away for the summer and come back 4 or 5 stones heavier. They're all athletes in tip-top condition, but obviously Arne Slot didn't feel like he was fit enough to make an impact even when Liverpool were chasing the game, and that is a big concern for me when you paid all that money on a striker. And I said to you last night, I'm not sure there's any winners at the moment from the Alexander Isak situation. You said maybe there's one in Nick Voltemade, but Newcastle look worse. Liverpool don't look any better. And at the moment, he's not justifying the fee.
Well, I mean, first of all, I don't think there was ever a time where players came back for pre-season 4 or 5 stones overweight.
I did wonder about that, actually. That'd be quite a sight, to be honest.
Maybe 4 or 5 kilos.
Did you see Neil Ruddock when he played for Swindon? That's all I'm going to say.
Maybe 4 or 5 kilos on average, you know, but 4 or 5 stones might be pushing it slightly. I don't know.
Maybe that's where I'm going wrong.
What would you have been doing to put that much on over the course of the summer? Having a bloody good time, that is for sure. Wow. But I do think that the Isak thing is quite interesting, Kevin. Where are the Liverpool fans with this? Because this is a player who has been, you know, the subject of a huge fee, a lot of hype. I mean, one of the things that if you speak to Liverpool officials, they will tell you, this is not a signing that we have made for the first 6 months of this season. It's not the first 6 days of the contract. It's not the first 6 weeks of the contract. This is a 6-year contract, and we expect him to deliver over that period. So this period will largely be forgotten if he goes on and scores a record number of goals, which he is more than capable of doing. But is there a slight frustration with the fact that he is yet to really even get a full 90 minutes under his belt at the kind of level that's required?
Yeah, I think there's an acceptance he's not fit. I think that's the first thing, and that is a concern. I think it's slightly offset by the fact that the Liverpool fans absolutely love Hugo Ekitike and the way he started. I think they're really, really enthused by the kind of player he is. I mean, you hear, you know, you hear the gasps when he does certain things. It's not even when he's scoring goals, like some of those shimmies, some of the little touches. I think he's made a really positive impact. And I think that's slightly offset the negativity of what's happened with Isak. But I think there's an important point here to broaden out. And it might sound like me making excuses for Liverpool, as if I would do that. But I do think this transfer window was about the next 2, 3, 4 years rather than this one. And I think looking at it, there's no excuse for that first half at the Etihad. There isn't. But I think there's an element of taking a step back to take 2 or 3 forwards down the track, because Liverpool have got themselves into a position now where this has to work. It doesn't have to work now, but it does have to work because they won't have any wriggle room. And the doomsday scenario, actually, and I don't think this will happen, but it could happen if you look at the competitiveness of the Premier League this season. The doomsday scenario is not qualifying for the Champions League for next season. Because if that was to happen with the outlay that they've had, and they did sell very well, but they spent a lot as well. That is the doomsday scenario. So I don't think it will get that bad, but the Premier League is really competitive. So Liverpool, whether they get back in the title race or not, certainly do have to turn things around fairly quickly.
Yeah, and if you look at the Premier League table now, it's starting to take a little bit of shape. The orthodoxy is returning, and we've had a few years now where it's, we've had some interlopers that have been crashing the top 6, top 7. You get the feeling that at the end of the season, you'll see Arsenal, City, Chelsea, Manchester United, Liverpool, Tottenham, and Aston Villa very much up there contesting those top 6 or 7 places. It feels a little bit like that. Newcastle will also hope to be able to recover to get involved as well. But are Liverpool already out of the title race? My esteemed colleague here made up a statistic yesterday on air where he told everybody, including a former Premier League manager, that 5 defeats means you can't win the Premier League, and history and statistics back him up. Well, not quite, but anyway, because Manchester City in 2021 and Manchester City in 2014 did it with 6 defeats. But anyway, the point stands, losing a lot of games doesn't help you. So are they or are they not still in the title race?
Yeah, it just serves me right for asking AI a question. I told you I hate that technology. I'm not going near that again. But you're right. Only twice in the last 15 years have a team lost more than 5 games and won the title. Blackburn with 7 defeats in 94-95. Hold the record, and that would never have happened had Eric Cantona not have kung fu kicked a Crystal Palace fan. I think they're already out the title race for the reasons Kev suggested. 8 points behind Arsenal, Manchester City going great guns, so competitive at the top of the table. I don't see this Liverpool team going unbeaten in their final 27 matches, and I think they would have to stand any chance of winning the league.
So you're telling me that if Eric Cantona hadn't jumped into the crowd at Selhurst Park, Blackburn wouldn't have lost 7 games?
Blackburn wouldn't have won the league that year, having lost 7 games.
That's what you think. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Okay. All right. As long as you're sticking with that, that's the most important thing. Should we? Let me ask her this question before we go, because Ray Parlour has been big on this. He said, as an Arsenal man, he's more fearful of Manchester City than he is of Liverpool. Do you understand why he said that? And do you think it's a tall order for Liverpool to come back from here and challenge Arsenal?
Yeah, I do. And I said at the start of the season, I thought City were live contenders to win it. And that Haaland's odds to win PFA Player of the Year were far too big. And it's turning out that might be the case because City are looking sharp. I think what we saw in the Club World Cup in the summer was Pep in the lab. We saw Pep working on a few different things, a few different approaches. Yes, they went out to Al Hilal, which was a blow, and there were echoes of, the kind of performances that have got them in trouble in the Premier League. And they started this season in similar fashion. They had that defeat at Brighton where they fell apart. They've had other performances that weren't great. I think what's different now is the defensive structure. I think they look better without the ball. I think Nico has downloaded all the information Pep wants him to. And yes. I think he is not on Rodri's level, but if Rodri's not in the team, it's not suddenly klaxons going off everywhere and they don't think they can win a game. Nico being in that side has shown they can. And what that does is it allows all of the attacking players to do their thing. I think the other thing that's really interesting about Pep this season is that they are approaching games differently. They won that Bournemouth game with not a lot of possession in the grand scheme of things. If you look at what they did against Arsenal, they tried to press high. It worked for half an hour and then it didn't work. So what did they do? They dropped very unusually deep and were happy to hit on the counter-attack, and it nearly worked. So I think City and Arsenal will be the title contenders now. I do think Liverpool just won't have that consistency. I think they'll improve massively. And I think what actually could happen is Liverpool might be live contenders to win the Champions League. But in terms of finding that consistency to win the Premier League, Liverpool tend to be front runners when they win the Premier League and stretch out and don't come from behind. I'm not sure they can do that. So I still think City can win it. I think the gap is only 4 points. I think City can win the Premier League.
I love what Kev said there, by the way. Liverpool tend to be front runners when they win the Premier League. What, both times?
Well, look at the statistics. That's true.
Yeah, at least that's a statistic that is actually true. You didn't just make it up as you went along. I love about City that the sort of evolution of the team, and we were watching it tactically yesterday, sitting in the stadium, and the fact that the 2 fullbacks are actually midfield players that want to get forward makes a massive difference, because what they do is when they've got the ball, they provide the width. They both bomb on, They come up high and wide. Nico Gonzalez will just sit alongside the centre-backs and just provide that extra protection. They flood the middle of the park. So the right side of midfielder will come in, make a box in midfield, and then you've got Doku, who's just sort of allowed to do what the hell he wants because he's got the ability to take everybody else on, and Haaland as the point man. And what that means is that when you've got, especially with Liverpool yesterday, they were so outnumbered in the middle of the park, they couldn't really get on the ball and start trying to force the issue because Manchester City was swamping them in that area. Also, the fact that the fullbacks were pushing so far on, it gave Wirtz extra defensive work to do.
Yeah.
It meant that Salah was having to try and he didn't get back as much as he should do, but he was, they were nullifying the wingers by pushing them further back into their own half. Look, I think, and I've said it, my Premier League prediction at the beginning of the season was Manchester City to win the league. I'm not sure whether they will or not. No one is. But I think they'll definitely be the closest challengers to Arsenal now. And I felt when I watched them against Borussia Dortmund, they were really impressive. And I thought I was backed up by the Liverpool performance at the weekend.
Social, me, Max Scott, alongside Kwaku Afari. We've done a lot of moaning today, a lot of moaning about Jude Bellingham supposedly not starting tonight.
An absolute disgrace.
Done a lot of moaning about AJ potentially ruining his legacy and fighting Jake Paul.
It's an absolute disgrace.
Yeah, we're on fire. And we've done a lot of moaning about our assistant producer, Alex Agatha Christie.
It's an absolute disgrace.
Who missed
Merry
what
Christmas,
was
you Tottenham
possibly
lemon.
the most impassioned, articulate rant I've ever heard from Kwaku Afari, and it's gone. It's in the ether.
Yeah. It just wasn't doing his job, wasn't concentrating. I don't know what's going on. What do we pay him for?
Merry Christmas, you Tottenham lemon.
Where are you there? Oh, no, Alex, I don't know where you are. We're not getting you on the mic because you've ruined it. You're ruining it.
You're ruining it.
Anyway, let's round things off with a bit of Chelsea chat, Kwaku. A little bit of Chelsea chat, because you've been accused this season of being consistently inconsistent. But you are third, mate.
Yeah.
You're 6 points off the top.
Yeah.
You in the title race?
No, we're not in the title race. I think that this is a Chelsea side that you put it perfectly, consistently inconsistent. And as great as a win against Liverpool is, as solid as the performance,
the currency of that's looking less.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
The shine's been taken off of that one. But we absolutely battered Spurs. Should have been more. But then you have results like the result at home against Sunderland, who of course are a decent side, but Chelsea should be beating them if you're looking to win the league. The loss at home against Brighton. The loss away against Manchester United, who at the time were on their knees. Those performances, they still live in my head and my brain, and I can't escape. Or I can't escape what I saw from Chelsea in those games. And it was a capitulation, especially in situations where a more experienced team, a more mature team would have managed that situation and maybe got a draw out those games, or maybe got 3 points out of those games, whereas Chelsea lost those. And because of those reasons, I think Chelsea can't win the league.
Do you think you can ever win a league under Enzo Maresca?
That's a great question. That's a really good question. I'll say yes. And I'll say yes because to win a league, you've got to have world-class players. I'm saying yes with a wry smile. I don't know if I actually believe it, but I'll try and justify it. Chelsea's model is that we can't bring in that experienced 26, 27-year-old that's going to slot in perfectly and help Chelsea win the league like Roman Abramovich did back in their day with his Chelsea squads. But Chelsea, if their talent ID is good enough, will be able to identify players like Cole Palmer and Moises Caicedo and Esteval, and hopefully that collection of talent can lead Chelsea to a league title, and those players growing together can help Chelsea win a league title. Let's not forget that Chelsea last season had the youngest squad in Premier League history. This season, it's still the youngest squad in the league. There is clearly immaturity there. The amount of red cards that Chelsea have got this season, the lack of game management in certain situations is clearly evident, and it's prevalent in most of Chelsea's performances. But there is clear talent there. And for Chelsea to be not that many points off of Arsenal at this stage of the season, Cole Palmer has missed significant time. We haven't seen him since the loss against Manchester United. Yeah. We've got a chance of making some noise, but winning the league, I think that's beyond us this season. Winning the league within the next 2 or 3 years under Enzo Maresca, yeah, it's feasible, but things have to go our way.
If that doesn't happen and you're not in a title race for the next 2 years, do you fear losing Cole Palmer to a team that is winning things regularly, that isn't the Conference League or the Club World Cup? There's 2 sides to these contracts and the way Chelsea's model is developed under this new ownership group.
The length of the contract is so unattractive to any prospective buyers, right? Cole Palmer's still got 7 years on this deal. We've seen the way that Real Madrid go about business. They wait till those players are free agents and then they attack. I don't think there's any team in the world that has enough capital to prize Cole Palmer away from Chelsea, and he willingly signed that contract. And so when I look at Cole Palmer, Moises Caicedo, it's going to be hard for any team in the world to get those players. We paid 100+ million for Caicedo, who's got 6 or 7 years left in his deal. How much are Chelsea going to want for him? 200 mil? Nobody's paying that. And so I do think the model lends itself to keeping our best players, but there will be frustration if Chelsea don't compete at the highest level. And you mentioned Chelsea not being in the title race, and that may be leading to players wanting to leave the football club. Chelsea haven't been in the title race since 2017, when we last won the Premier League title. And that's too long for a club like Chelsea. We've obviously won other trophies, including the Champions League in that time. But actually being in the title race, we haven't been in one since we won it under Antonio Conte, and that feels like a lifetime ago. So that's where we need to get back to. One thing that I will say is that Enzo Maresca is here for the long run. And I think that's evident in the way that he uses Esteval. Esteval is an incredibly talented footballer that Chelsea fans are crying out for to start week in and week out. But he's been blooded in very slowly by Enzo Maresca. He doesn't start the majority of our games. The starting duo in terms of wingers is Garnacho and is Pedro Neto. And I feel like a manager that was dying for results and needed results in the here and now because he knows his job's at risk will be starting a player as good and as talented as Esteval. The fact that he's taken his time with Esteval, and every time he's asked about him or he talks about him, speaks about how great of a player he will become, but we need to take our time with him, is evident that this is a man that's been given assurances that he's here for the long run. And I look at the way that Esteval is being treated and managed, and I compare it to Lamine Yamal, who's a similar age as Esteval, who's been overused, and we're now seeing the long-term ramifications of that. This is a wonder kid that is akin to the talent of a Lionel Messi with a Cristiano Ronaldo that is struggling to stay fit because he's played too much football at a young age. And I think that Esteval's management in terms of his minutes is evident to me that Enzo Maresca's here for the long run, which is only a good thing in terms of translating a message to those players in the dressing room.
Particularly, I mean, you had a wry smile when I asked you if you could win a title under Enzo Maresca, but I think you've done a pretty good job of convincing yourself and me, considering the fact that, all of these top-class players are on these long amortised contracts. It's going to be very difficult to pry them away. And so if you've got these players in 3-4 years' time, you should be winning titles.
100%. That's the model, right? In 3 or 4 years' time, Reece James is a wily veteran that has he's already won the Champions League. And he's
with one hamstring and one ankle, but yeah.
Taped together. Moises Caicedo in 2 or 3 years' time is undoubtedly the best midfielder in the league. Cole Palmer, you'd hope in 2 or 3 years' time, is undoubtedly one of the best players in the world. You hope that we can identify other talents that can build around them. Esteval in 2 or 3 years' time will be one of the best players in the world. And you're hoping that these players can come together and grow together and win together. Look at Chelsea's most experienced players, right? And they are still young. Enzo Fernandez is a World Cup winner. Reece James has helped Chelsea win the Club World Cup and has won the Champions League of Chelsea. These players are starting to get to a point where they've won the biggest trophies. Cole Palmer's one of the best players in the world. Something good is building at Chelsea is whether we can surpass the likes of Liverpool, of Arsenal, of Man City. Things have to go our way.
Well, I'm not going to push back on any of that. We're going to end on an absolutely positive note on the future of Chelsea Football Club. Quaker, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate.
Cheers, mate. A pleasure as always.
You've been listening to The Social on talkSPORT 2. Next up, it's the EFL Fan Network. 2 points off second place, Flex.
No. Man United are not in a title race at all. Of course we're not. That's where we'd be being silly. The squad's not built well enough yet. Ruben hasn't had enough time yet. The players that he's brought in, the 4 in this summer, I think are really good additions. Definitely. That's a step in the right direction. January's going to come and we're going to be without Ahmad and Mbeumo down that right-hand side. What on earth are we going to do then? Because it's going to be back to probably Dalot right wing back or Mazraoui.
Mount might play out
right
wide
10, you might put Mount there, or Bruno might go back there, and then Kobe comes in central midfield. But the team looks different without Mbeumo and Ahmad, I'll tell you that much. So yeah, way off winning a Premier League title, especially this season. We would need a miracle for that. Yeah. That's where you talk about what a miracle is. But we're not. No, of course, Man United aren't in a title race. Man United, even when we won the 3 games in a row, I said on here, we're not back. We haven't turned a corner. We have to just game by game, so that actually, when you do get a draw against Forest, now, yeah, we're a little bit disappointed not to win the game, because actually,
It had the makings for it, but overall, okay, you probably didn't do enough. But it was close. It's not a catastrophe. You know what I mean? You just won 3 games in a row before that. You know, now going to Spurs, even if you draw, it's not a catastrophe. You can lose a game. You know, but the problem is Man United have lost so many games or lose so frequently that every loss is basically catastrophic. And I know then it's easy to say in those moments, just keep calm. But when it's loss after loss or more losses than not, and you've coming off the back of finish 15th, well, I know people don't want to talk about it, people want to draw a line under it, but when you see sort of shades of what's happened last year still in the team, it's worrying. But what I have said in the last sort of 4 games and the 3 draws and 1 loss, 3 wins and 1 draw, I have seen that resilience built up. You know, Manchester United last season, and Ruben Amorim said it in his post-match, and I really agreed with him. I said it before us heard his comments. Man United last season loses that game. You know, they short-circuited against Forest for about 90 seconds and conceded 2 flash goals. That is prime cash money, modern United capitulation. Then you go on to lose 3-1, 4-1, and you just throw the towel in. And the fact that they stayed in it, got back composure, got back into the game with a brilliant strike from Ahmad, and actually nearly won it in the end as well. You're starting to see some better traits coupled with the 3 games before that as well. So I think in the last 4 games, and we take that into the Spurs game, there's definitely been improvements. I can say that.
Is one of the real big bright sparks. You mentioned his name, but I mean, Bryan Mbeumo looks like he's just come in and transformed that team in terms of his quality at the top end of the pitch. I mean, you know, with him, with Cunha, the goalkeepers come in, look good. It's probably been one of United's best windows in terms of recruitment for a long time.
100%. I mean, look, Benjamin Sesko, I mean, Gary Neville was very critical of him. And I don't know why he was as critical as he was. I'm not saying Benjamin Sesko.
Did he say he looked a little bit awkward?
He says he looks awkward, wants more from him for 80 million quid. And, you know, again, misquoting the prices, is 63 point something up front, rising to 73 max. It's not 80. And, you know, other legends of their club sort of will leap to the defence of young players coming through there. You can be a little bit, you know, there's no way if Miles Lewis-Skelly was going through a rough time, or Ethan Wanyeri, or, you know, Max Dowman, or, you know, even any of the new guys, even if it was, who else? Noni Madueke, 50 million this year. There's no way he would, like, throw any of those guys under the bus after 8 games, 9 games. He would say, listen, any time. So I think a lot of United fans just wanted to see a little bit more of that from Gary, because that's what you're allowed to do. You're ex-Man United captain, you've won countless trophies.
Your voice carries a lot of weight.
You don't need to stick the boot, especially when, you know, the last 4 games, he's got a couple of goals, a couple of assists. He's doing all right. He's doing all right. He's getting there. But back to what you're saying about the buys we've had. This is what happens when you buy players from the league. Matheus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo, we're getting our rewards for buying from within the league. You don't have to worry about settling down. You don't have to worry about putting an arm around their shoulder and making sure they're good. You can say, right, straight in, let's get to work. Like, we need you to make us instantly better. You guys have done it in the Premier League, Bryan Mbeumo more so, and it's working. And it's an instant upgrade to what we had. And Sonny Lemons is just a whole breath of fresh air and calmness across the back line. He's just got to keep it up.
But also as well, Flex, would you not say that some of the players that have been there for a long time and have really struggled for a long time are now starting to fight? I think Maguire's been solid when he's played.
Maguire's been solid. This is Shaw's best season for a while. This is Casemiro's best season since his first season under Erik ten Hag. So he's been good. Bruno Fernandes has been up and down, but he's starting to probably understand the position a little bit more, and he's doing okay. I just think the confidence is going throughout the whole team a little bit more in the last 4 to 5 games. So what we're seeing is better performances as a result of it. This is where Ruben probably is right, where it isn't all about the system. It isn't all about, you know, the formation, etc., etc. The players are more confident, and they feel it more, and they believe in what he's doing more, and stop making silly mistakes and start winning games. All of a sudden, you're starting to see slightly better performances. So the confidence has been a big problem. Yeah.
And Flex, Saturday, Spurs away, good time to play Spurs, and you're going to be there part of game day life.
What I don't believe in anymore ever for my team is a good time to play any other team. We don't get to say that. No, we don't. It was a good time to play Forest. They're in the bottom 3. That new manager, mate. It's a good time to play loads of teams.
Man United will now see you.
I'm not. And Spurs, honestly, I'm sick of the sight of Spurs. Before, I just used to little bro Spurs.
Of course, the first game since the Europa League, obviously.
First game since then, we owed them for that. Even in the league, we can't beat them at home or away for love nor money. I really need to win this game, but I'm
not confident. I'm not. I'd probably be a draw.
I think Spurs Man United. I think it's got 2-2 written all over it.
Oh, do you know what I mean? It does feel quite drawish.
Open game.
Or I don't like predicting losses at all. But we'll just make a silly mistake, or just you know what I mean, and they get away with it again, because the games are not really great as well, but they usually nick it. And I want to be going to that stadium and leaving with 3 points, please, boys, please.
There we go. Please remain neutral, though. Obviously, when on Game Day Live.
Absolutely.
On Saturday,
well, I'm there as the host of Inside Devils,
okay.
You know, they're asking me what's going on.
Well, then in that case,
when we was at the G-Tech Stadium, I gave plaudits to Keith Andrews and Brentford, but I, gave you the opinion on my team.
In that case, be completely biased towards Man United as the host.
I won't be biased. I'll just say what I see.
Yeah, good man. Spurs Man United is live on talkSPORT Saturday 12:30 kickoff. All the build up from 11 o'clock.